Hi there, it's Jessica, and I just wanted to share with you what I shared at the team meeting today. I had a little technical difficulty, so I'm now recording it for you. Basically, we covered the shift of what's going on in our industry from back in the 80s before we had an MLS book, all the way to today where we've got companies challenging us saying that technology is going to take over our industry. Now, we know that's not true. Technology is not going to replace the human experience. An app cannot take care of a closing or a problem with a transaction. We know that we're not going to be eliminated, and yet the days of just having an agent without tech is no longer going to happen either. So we know that it's really us against the new industry components that are coming out of the woodwork. And Realtor.com, Trulia, and Zillow, we've been contending with for quite some time. But new to the game is Redfin, Purple Brick, Open Door, OfferPad, Knock, Bungalow. I mean, there's a million of them, and it seems like every day there's a new company that we need to be made aware of. Now, one of the things you'll see in my email is that I've connected you with our current MLS data so that when you're working with a buyer or seller, you can show them the truth about what's really going on, what the true commissions are, and how those companies are doing compared to our individual brokerage. So we'll go through that in a minute. And yet, you just cannot ignore this. You need to be equipped with the information. And so today, I'm going to share with you as much as I can quickly so that you are empowered to talk about what's going on. Now, with any industrial revolution or change, industries change all the time. And back in the day, things changed much slower than they do today. So if we just even talk about the travel industry, we used to, back in the 70s and 80s and maybe even into the 90s, we'd call a travel agent if we were going to take a big trip. And today, who do you call? Where do you go? Well, most of us go to Expedia.com or Booking.com, and we actually pull data ourselves versus relying on an actual person to do that for us. And if you look at other industries, the same has happened. You could talk about even like a taxi service. We used to call a taxi, call a cab, or we would sit at a taxi stand or cab stand. And today, who do we call? Yeah, Uber, or maybe even Lyft. So when you look at these industry changes, they happen in every industry. And if we look specifically at real estate, really any real estate brokerage that had hardware, software, a cloud, and internet could function. Really anyone with a website could be in business. And so if you look at the major players in our industry with RE/MAX, all of the Realogy Group, which is Coldwell Banker, Century 21, Sotheby's, and Keller Williams, we all are at level one. We all have websites. We all have platforms that we work from. Now, what's interesting, though, is with the advent of AI, which is artificial intelligence, and big data, there's a new fourth industrial revolution going on, which is requiring us to change. It's kind of like the industries ahead of us that have already gone through this, like travel. If I was a travel agent and I didn't change, what happened to me? Well, I would fall off or kind of not make it any longer in the industry without changing. So when there's an industrial revolution, you can't ignore it. You either change or you leave the industry. So there's many brokerages that aren't doing anything about this right now. In fact, I'm talking to agents from all over and from many different brokerages, and most of them know none of what I'm talking about. So wake up. It's time to adapt. Otherwise, you might be one of those agents that are kind of left behind. And we'll see brokerages that are going to be left behind. So let's share with you kind of the latest headlines. So the latest headlines are about Realogy. So Realogy is all of these different brokerages. They're all under the Realogy umbrella. And this last week, Compass, which is a competitor like Redfin, purchased Contactually. Now, Contactually is the CRM platform or the database platform that is used by Realogy and RE/MAX. So with Contactually being purchased by Compass, all those brokerages have their data in the hands of their competitor. Now, it's not their fault. They were just hiring Contactually as what we'd call their bolt-on tech or their CRM. They don't own Contactually. They didn't build Contactually. They were just buying their services as a third-party vendor. So they couldn't control Compass from buying them. They were really vulnerable because they didn't have a platform. And now they're very vulnerable because Compass, one of our arch enemies, has their data. So if you read the headlines to go further, it shows that Realogy had basically their stock crash immediately after this news, simply because that's some bad news. If you look at Remax, that's also affected by this. Remax's response was, the race has just begun. They're about to build a new CRM to give their agents their own platform. Now that's good because we need companies to respond and react, and yet the reality is it took us 4 years to get Command where it's at today, where you can just start using it. And this race to the tech war and the fourth industrial revolution is expected to be over by April of next year, April of 2020. So if Remax starts today, what's the chance that they're going to have a platform that their agents can function from? Probably not very good. So that's the kind of news that's going on. If you go to inman.com, you can stay up to speed, and of course, I'll continue to pass information on to you. So when you look at industrial revolutions where companies either choose to change or they become obsolete, we're really at phase 2 right now, where the pack will be thinned. And really the difference between a company being able to move forward and a company not being able to move forward is basically if they have their own platform, they have a safe place to put their data, they have their artificial intelligence, and they have the data. So right now, the companies that are claiming to be ready are Zillow, Redfin, Opendoor, OfferPad, Purplebrick, Compass, and Keller Williams. Now, Zillow's building the platform. They bought .loop. They have a mortgage company. They have a real estate brokerage. They have IDX. So they're building it. They have most of the pieces and components together. Redfin is as well. And then these other companies are not really there, but they're really beating us up in the market based off of their advertising and their commission discounts. And so if you've watched the news lately or you've watched television, you're going to notice a lot of different ads for Redfin, Purplebrick, Opendoor. So we are seeing an aggressive, boy, that's not what I wanted to happen. Sorry about that. We're seeing an aggressive marketing strategy of what they're doing. So let me get back to where we were at. So here's the reality is this data here is real. This is straight from the MLS. This is real news, not fake news. So feel free to use this when you're working with sellers to show them the truth behind their claims, because their claims don't add up to the truth. So if you watch an advertisement for Purplebrick, they show huge discounts. Well, their actual commission in our area is 2.8 on average, where our office is 2.55. OfferPad, if you actually run the numbers, is about 13%. They don't call it a commission, they call it a fee of 7%. So you gotta read the fine print. Listed.com, I'm sure you guys know who this guy is. If you've I get tons of these postcards. This guy right here, RP Funding. He says, it's all over the place. What he says isn't true. 0% commission. Well, when you pull listed.com, which is his company, shows up at 2.63. So it definitely doesn't add up. Feel free to use this because you need to start waging war against these companies. And they're serious. So Opendoor not only is listing, but they've now expanded their services to work with buyers, and they give a 1.5 rebate to the buyers. That should concern you. Zillow 2.0 is just about to be unleashed, and that is going to definitely impact us as a company, as an industry. So it's time that agents band together and we fight these brokerages and platforms that are trying to eliminate us from real estate. So this is what we're predicting. We're predicting many of these companies sneak in with us because they are working on being prepared. And unless these companies do something to change their perspective and their situation quickly, they may be left in the dust or need to be redeveloped or reintroduced into the market. Not sure what's going to happen, but it's happening quickly. And I want you to be aware of it. Now, the reality is, if you read any of the information that I've provided, such as this white paper, you'll note that they often say, and the predictions that they say, is that most of these brokerages, such as OfferPad or Opendoor, here's what they say about Opendoor. Although Opendoor's funding to date is noteworthy, and the company has continued to expand since July of 2014. Critics note that it has only operated in a hot housing market environment and questions its ability to sell homes for a profit quickly or at all when the market slows. So I personally am praying for a little bit of a slowdown just to eliminate some of these brokerages that are coming out of the woodwork. And yet any one of you that have been around for a shift know that many of those companies will just kind of disappear. Other things worth noting is that companies like Realogy had a $213 million loss in 2016 and continue to have since. EXP, a $26 million loss. Remax, $22 million loss. So these companies are losing money, whereas we've been profit sharing nearly that same amount. So read these articles, be educated. We're going to be sharing as much as we can with you during team meetings to keep you in the now, because it's time to attack. Meanwhile, know that we are being touted as the Zillow killer and as the company that's leading the industry through this very fierce time of industrial change. I'm really proud to be part of it because you guys are in a safe place with a company that has been preparing for 4 years for this. And now it's the time that you adopt and actually plug into what we have so that you can have the benefit of it. So Purple Brick, the video that I shared is on our Facebook page. It exposes the truth about Purple Brick. You pay a fee to have it listed, your home, not sold. You pay the fee regardless if the home sells, and everything that you add on is additional expenses. Locally, when you look at Purple Brick, for our MLS, it says 2.8% is the average, so that's actually higher than ours. So again, don't be afraid to just take this on head on. We're going to create a couple of marketing pieces for you to share with any sellers that you may know so that they're not tempted to try one of these alternatives that sound too good to be true, because you know what? Too good to be true, it probably is. So keeping you into now, if you have any more questions or you want more information, just reach out. We're here for you. We care about you and your business, and we know together with adoption, we can tackle this. Have a great rest of your day.